Okay, so better call Paul back here. Luca, my assistant, is I think she's sleeping out in the car. Anyways, I had to remove the gas line from back here so that I can hook the gas line up through the bottom of the gas burner thing here. So it goes straight down through the floor and now in the front. It's not going through the unit at all, so there's be no temperature issues here. So basically dry fitted most of this stuff all back together again several times, so it's on off again, and figuring out. So all that laser leveling I did with these screws down here was completely a waste of time, but you don't know until you try it. And what happens is once you start putting this barrel on top of the boiler box there, you have to start lining up the items one thing at a time. There's the heat exchange unit on the end of the barrel here. That'll have a gasket, a great big gasket going between there. I'll show you those later. There's a gasket that goes between the gas valve and the hot box here. That has to be put on. But you have to line up all of this stuff sort of dry fit first. So I put one of the oven boxes on after much deliberation and trying to figure out what the hell is that heat exchange box on the side of it for. And that box just sits against this box and generates heat that transfers it into the oven through these vents here. So it's like an ambient air heat. It's really this plate and that plate that will end up going on here that also have a big gasket in between here. Then it also has like little leveling screws for that plate to make sure you get it lined up, because in theory, once the thing all heats up, this plate gets super hot, that plate gets super hot, that heats the top of the oven, this air here heats the rest of the oven from below, but tends to have more heat above because of that opening up there. So you're baking from on top instead of from below. This one here, you're baking from both on top and below because of the unit that goes back up on here, and that's where the chimney goes. It goes in through the top burner and then back out through the vent. So once I lined up all this stuff, you have to make sure that you line up these little holes to that hot box plate right in here. And that hole there, you got to line up that hot box plate back there. Otherwise, if you put all this together without dry fitting everything and lining it up, you're going to be screwed part way through the hookup. So that, then the heat transfer box here also just sets against there, and you can see right there, and there's a gasket that goes between that and the heating box or heat chamber. So it's pretty ingenious once you get it all. And this thing here was real. The tank or the barrel was real problematic before, trying to get it hooked up and thinking but you kind of have to put all these other elements on first in order to get everything else lined up, and don't worry so much about how that sits on there. The one thing I did have to do is inside here, there's a little sort of a retaining ring. I did actually loosen the bolts on that retaining ring, and I don't